Hi everybody. I'm back. Yes. My computer broke down again. There was a death in the family. Finished the school year. I'm back in New York. So much has happened. And I want to get back into doing videos. So I thought I would start this with doing sort of a mishmash. I'm going to call this Divination Soup, just because I think my brain is filled with different bits and parts that are all mixing in there together, and I wanted to share some of it with you. And yeah, let's get going. I have a list. So the first thing I want to talk about is, yes, I know you're all wondering, it was supposed to be out already and it isn't, so what happened? What happened was that I asked my sweetheart, my husband, to do an edit layer on the book, and he did half of it when unfortunately his dad, my father-in-law, died. So everything came to a complete halt, and I'm happy to report that we are back into the editing. Yesterday he finished 2 more, and we are exactly halfway. So I'm really hoping that we will finish this edit layer in the next few weeks. And then it's just about publishing it and issuing it. So I told him, and I'm telling all of you, we can't push this. Everything is happening in its own time and when things are ready. And if I learned anything in the last few months, is that you just go with the flow. Don't push. Don't try to rush things, because it's just not going to happen. So it's a waste of energy, really. So it is happening, and it's just happening on a different schedule than what I planned originally, but I'm very excited about it, and it is happening. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to share with you is decks that I've been working with and that I got and I think are cool. So the first one, I'm sure everybody have seen this. This is the Radiant Wise Rider-Waite-Smith clone, and I got this as a sweet, sweet gift from the lovely Queen Aset. Because I said it. Some of you know this. I'm not a fan. I think I just heard somebody explode somewhere. I'm not a fan of the Rider-Waite-Smith images. I learned them. I know these are the classics, and the original just leaves me sort of cold. And again, that could be an advantage. Because it's much more symbolic, and you read the images as suggestive of other things, and maybe when the images are more emotional and take you deeper into one path, it's harder to pull back. I think you guys understand what I'm saying. But when I saw this version, I went, whoa, I can actually get on board with these. So yeah. I hope the colors are coming out right. But the blues are just spectacular, and I'm loving it. I'm really resonating with it. It's fun to work with. Obviously, I know the images, so it's not a problem. And just the color palette is really fantastic. Hopefully, it's focusing. No, focusing. Yeah. No. Okay. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, I hope you can see the blues here. Just spectacular. So it's relatively not an expensive deck, and I gave my original copy away to a friend. And I have a mini version of the Rider-Waite-Smith that I used to carry with me on tour. But this is definitely, if I had to pick one, this is it, and it's totally worth it. Okay, the other 2 decks are related, and I showed this last time. This is the Orosoma. Yeah, kind of. Here we go. And this is the Farben. And why are these related? Because they're both pulling from the Orosoma. The Orosoma cards themselves, I don't have the deck with the bottles on the back. These are For those of you who don't know, the images. So these images are based on the Orosoma bottle. It's a combination of two colors. There's one more. You can see, the pink with the blue. So again, the art style, definitely not my art style. Too, I don't know, too something. But I love the concept and I love the combination of the two. And just to contrast it with the Farben, the Farben is basically the same thing, except the Darsho Willing, the lady who made these, basically took the bottles, shook them, took a picture, and this is what came out. It's beautiful. So again, both of them are based basically on the same thing, on the mixing of the colors of the bottles. The tarot is obviously a tarot deck. This is not a tarot deck. This is just photographs of the bottles. So the good things. The good things is that I think both these decks, I guess I should keep showing you pictures while I talk, is that I think both decks let through a really beautiful healing energy, if you want to call it angelic energy or divine energy or spirit energy, doesn't matter. Both decks let that come through really strongly. And if you need something calm and soothing and hug deckish then this is definitely a good choice. Both of these are good choices. So I guess I'm going to go straight into the problems. The problems are, I don't know if you can see this, but each one of these decks has about 115 cards. I'm trying to pull out. How do you shuffle this? And some people would say that's really not a problem. Just mix them up. But to be honest with you, at some point you go, it just becomes overwhelming. Hudson decided to speak. Yes, of course. We're going to pause. And we're back. So yeah, at some point it becomes overwhelming. And though the images are it's beautiful. There's nothing to say. This is just spectacular and very evocative, and the fact that there are no keywords on the cards and that you're left with the colors, I think it's a problem. It just becomes a slightly too slow of a process to get to the meaning, or if you ask the question, to what the heck the cards are trying to communicate. So there is a PDF book in English that Miss Willing wrote that is wonderful, and I have it on my phone, so I can open the Google Doc, go to that, see what she says, and sort of figure out what's going on by that. But I found that having read with it a couple of times, it's a little too cumbersome. But again, not to take away from this beautiful deck, and I do like the abstract aspect of it. So everything is a mixed bag, right? And then basically the same problem with the Orosoma Tarot is that they're just, I'm going to get violent. Too many cards. And then, believe it or not, out of the 115 cards, I did a lot of pulls with this. I worked with this, I would say, quite a lot for me. And for the majority of the time, I did not pull any of the tarot cards. I kept pulling out the angel cards, the additional, I guess from 100 and on, it's basically angels. So that was strange. And then when you do pull something like, I believe, oh yes, this is the Page of Cups. I'm not getting a tarot vibe from this at all. Yeah, this is a card I pulled a lot. You get, here we go, here are all the archangels. I pulled these guys all the time. So you ask yourself, why am I using a tarot deck if I'm pulling archangels? And why are they here? And what are they trying to say? Again, there's a book, and some of the information there is interesting, but in general, I find it just too out there. It's like, this angel is about delivering messages, and this angel is about delivering healing. I mean, I think all angels would come and heal you and give you messages if you ask them to. So, what do I like about this? I like the fact that it's not really a tarot. I like the fact that it's really an angelic deck with that kind of energy. And the problem with it is that there are just too many cards, and I don't really think that we need. Do we need the tarot element here? Maybe just put the bottles, put the images, and let that work itself. I don't know. I guess I'm ambivalent about this. But what I'm learning from it is that size does matter. I think that having too many. I remember Lisa from Tarot Alchemist said it, and I was at the beginning saying, "No, come on, you need as many cards as you need." But there is something to it. It's too overwhelming to handle, and therefore you sort of go, maybe I would rather work with a deck that is a little bit smaller and more manageable. Okay, so this is the decks. Oh yeah, the decks I wanted to talk about, and as a segue to books, I was inspired by Patrick and his astrology deck that has stunning images and is beautiful, and I love working with it, to create my own, let's call them flashcards, it's not really a deck. So what I did was, there is a card for each one of the signs, each one of the constellations. There's a card for each of the planets, and then there's a card for each of the houses. And on the back of the houses, I used Patricia Walsh's book Karmic Complexes to write keywords and possible past lives scenarios and associations. So why did I do that? Because part of the thing that I think is really difficult to understand and to follow with astrology is when things start getting blended. So for example, if my south node is in the 11th house in Taurus, I need to blend the 11th house meaning with the Taurus meaning, and sort of come up with a synthesis of the two to figure out what the heck is going on. And my biggest takeaway from all of this is that there's a lot of what do I want to say? Quick keywords that we all jump to when we think of those elements, those houses, those positions, and it becomes very difficult to brainstorm with just those keywords. It's sort of very limiting. And having the cards themselves, you can put what do I have here? You can put this is the Pisces archetypes with the Aquarian archetypes, and you can start looking at them together and see what of these meanings actually make sense to you, and not just work with the basic keyword that was, and again, those are useful as well, but I think this is really going to be helpful for me to try and understand how to read the chart in a deeper way. And I said this is a segue because I finally finished this monster of a book, and it took me 6 months because I don't have time to read, but mainly because it is so dense and every sentence is incredible. And I think for the first time I now understand all the houses and all the signs, and I feel like I have depth in each of them. I'm sorry if the chair is making noise. And I can't recommend this enough. And it takes, like I said before, like things take time, and if it takes 6 months to read a book and really absorb it, I think that's better than just reading quickly through it and saying, well, I will read it later, because I think you guys know, and I know that never happens. Like, you never have the time to go and reread a book you already read, right? So I can't recommend this enough. This is just fantastic. And yes, Kelly, I'm trying to get you in the evolutionary astrology buffs and everybody else who wants to get on it. I would love to talk about this stuff. This is just amazing. Okay, other books. So this is my reading list for the summer. I'm going to finally finish this because I never have, and it's not as exciting as Walsh's book, but it's important to know, so I'm going to try and read it. And then I got Ethany's book, which is, I read, I would say, a fifth of it, and it's fantastic. I love it, and I'm doing the exercises, and I'm getting a lot from it, so can't wait to dig into this one. And then Tom's book is still here. It will happen. It will happen. And this one, which was recommended by Kelly many moons ago, and I just want to read it. So hopefully the entire summer will give me time to dig into all of them and to really enjoy them and really learn from them, so not just skim through them. So those are the books. What else do I want to talk about? Oh. So you thought that was enough of a reading list, right? And then this came in the mail, and again, I don't even know what to do with this. I sort of did a bibliomancy reading with it, just open it to a random page and see what came up, and it's phenomenal. I think really probably every page here is filled with huge amount of information and valuable knowledge. I just don't know. I don't have the deck yet. I'm waiting to get the deck. I don't know how one goes, let alone writing it, but processing everything that Benabel has offered for us with this book. But I want to read this too. Maybe we should start a reading club of some sort, and every day we read a page together, and in 740 days we'll finish. Yeah. Okay, so the other things I wanted to talk about, I guess it all boils down to the Divination Soup thing I talked about, and I feel like on the one hand I'm being pulled to be learning all of this stuff, so from Benabel's book and the esotericism and the beautiful astrology and everything that has to teach. And I did an incredible course in Lilydale in mediumship, and I'm happy to report, yep, I'm one. And sort of the basic question is, what's the point? And it has been kind of torturing me for the last few months, which is probably also a reason why I've been silent. I feel like I should be showing you stuff like while I'm talking. So I'm not sure where all of this is going, except to say that on the one hand, expansion is great and learning a lot of stuff is great, and on the other hand, it's problematic because what are you going to do with it? And I know that for me it has to do with healing, and it has to do with music, and it has to do with bringing all of that into the world. And I think the trap is that when you can do so many different things, you sort of feel compelled to do all of them, and that's an impossibility. You can't do everything. So I'm going to try and narrow it into music for now, and share with you, as time goes by, I'm going to share with you more about my cards and then how that can be they can be worked with in conjunction with music. But just to give you a basic idea, I created playlists for the tarot cards and for my cards that are on the YouTube channel. So basically the idea is if you pull a card, you can then listen to the music and see what reaction and what response you have to the music. Now, because this is still in very basic stages of research and working with these tools, I can't tell you what the result is. Can I say that if you listen to a Brahms symphony in conjunction with your South Node in Taurus, is that healing? I don't know yet, but I kind of want to find out. We all know that music is healing. We all know that music changes our mood. So just on that very basic level, I think there's an incredible power that we sometimes tap to, but most of the time not really. I think that there's incredible power to live music and experiencing the music, you know, in a real life situation, not just via recordings and via YouTube. So I guess I'm babbling, so I'll stop, but really the idea is to focus the channel on archetypes and music and how that can be integrated. And I will, of course, still keep talking about cards and nostalgia and all the stuff that I love, but I think that's where we're heading. I wanted to offer you a meditation that came to me, I don't know when, but I thought it was kind of cool. And the idea is that there are 4 plates, and you can close your eyes and you see there are 4 plates. I see these like big, like tray-like bowls, and in each one of them you have a representation of one of the elements. So I start with water sign, then of course fire, air, and earth. And what was interesting is that you sort of ask yourself, right now in my being, what is the state of those elements? So surprisingly, or not so surprisingly, the state of my bowl with the water was black goo. Not so good. So you take the black goo, you pour it into the fire, and you go get some clean, fresh water. The air element I saw as feathers, and it was really interesting because there were snakes with the feathers. So not so good. Toxic thoughts, not so good. Get rid of the snakes, put nice fresh feathers in there. The other 2 elements are very strong, the earth and the fire. Don't ask me why, very strong, so not many problems there. But I thought it was a very cool way to sort of do a quick check-in with you, like where is your soul at, and how are those elements integrated, and what are they doing. And if you need to refresh, then you can do the refresh in your psyche and be better, right? Okay, this is a very long video. I'm going to say goodbye for now. I'm going to try and do more. Be well, peace, adios.